Welcome to D-Mob Garage. Well, in today's episode, we are doing an unboxing and you guys are going to check this thing out right now. There it is, and it's from the good people of Yes Welder, and they actually reached out to me for me to do a review on this multi-function MIG TIG plasma cutter arc welder. So it's the MP200. We're going to unbox this and we're going to see what this is all about. As you guys know, I've always had the Everlast welders. I've had those ones for many, many years now. They're getting a bit old, so it'll be good to check this thing out. So let's see what's in the box. So box up in top, and of course, oh, there we go. Can you get it out? Can he get it out? No, he can't. Get this inside here like that. That'll do it. Right, I would say this one here is going to be the consumables, and yes, the welder is in there. Let's pop that there. We'll see if I can just yank this right out. Almost. And here it goes. Oh, I like it already. And I'll tell you why I like it already. Because it's small and not heavy. Now, nothing else in the box. Pop that on the ground. Right, plastic. Remove the plastic. Let's have a look at this little bad boy here. So we'll just pop that to the side and we can check out the box of consumables. So, we have our torch, and we're going to open this one up because one thing I'm not a fan of is very, very, very short leads. And one thing I did do on the Everlast welder was buy a 5 metre length MIG torch, just because I can leave the unit there and drag it right across over there and weld. I'd say this is a small one. Got a few little consumables in here as well. We have a couple of tips and a little spanner. So to open it up, we call them spanners in Australia, not wrenches, believe it or not. Now, quality. It's got the swivel down the bottom with the spring. Actually feels pretty good. I like it because it's actually a small torch. It's not one of these big ginormous ones. And I would say lengthwise, yeah, it's not going to be on the long side, but that's okay. It's only a very light machine, so I'd say that's a 2 metre, yeah, 2 metre length MIG torch. So we will put that aside. We can play around with that in a minute. We have our gas hose, easy. We have our arc welding handle. So look at this. Oh yes, I know, I do like this style because you can basically just put your probe straight into there. It's not the screw-on type, which they come loose and the terminal inside wears out, and then of course your rod falls out and that's annoying. So I like that. That's cool. Obviously our earth clamp, and this will just be a fairly generic clamp, I'd imagine, which it is. Not a very heavy duty version, but again, you know, we're not talking $5,000-6,000 machine here. So that's probably something you might want to change out. But look, for all intents and purposes, if you're the DIY hobbyist at home, that will suffice, no problem at all. And I would imagine about 2.5 metres on that one, just off the bat. Seems to be pretty good. Okay, pop that there. We have also the TIG torch, and we also have a pack of consumables in there as well. Let's just open this one up. Okay. Box of consumables. Pretty standard stuff for a TIG welder. The tips on those are a number 4, a number 5 and a number 6. So that's pretty good. Gives you a bit of a range. The torch itself, I would imagine it's going to be a SR17, and unfortunately with this one there's no pedal, so you are just going to be adding your flow and turning off your flow. So that's a bit rudimentary, a bit basic. But again, for the hobbyist at home, I think as a little, it's a small torch, so I like the fact it's not a big unit. But yeah, no foot pedal, so that's okay. Get that out of the way. And now we have the MIG roller. That's the 8mm extra roller that they give you for the wire feed, and obviously the hose clamps for the gas. Put that aside. Then we've got the consumables for the plasma torch. Now this is something that I am very interested in because I don't have a plasma torch, and for the regular viewers that know, I grind everything with a 5-inch grinder, and it is painful sometimes. So having a plasma cutter, I'm stoked. I will definitely be using this probably more than the other things. Consumables, let's have a look at the torch itself, we'll get that out. So you got your connectors at the bottom there, and the torch. That's the dead man switch there, so you don't accidentally turn it on and cut your hand off, which would not be good. Very cool. Now, I've never plasma cut before, so you guys are in for a treat. I'll be setting this up and having a crack at it later, and we'll see how we go. So I'll pop that aside. Plastic bags, get rid of those. Now, what else have we got in the container here? We have oh, that's kind of cool. It's like a little rudimentary brush. I wonder if I could brush my hair with that. Probably can. Not too bad. We'll put the consumables in there. Plugs. Now this was one thing I was a bit worried about, because the plug on here, I would say that's an American plug. And I did actually reach out to Yes Welder to make sure, to remind them that we are 240 volts in Australia and we have our own plug down here. And they have given me the right one, which is fantastic. So that's just going to basically go straight onto there like that. We can plug it in and turn it on. We also have I don't even know what this is. It's some sort of little clippy thing. Does anyone know what that is? I don't know. We'll find that out later. And then we also have another little box of, what's in here? What's in the box? Ooh, oh, regulator. Brass fittings. And this will be a water trap regulator, I would imagine, for the plasma cutter, because you do need to have dry air for that. And also a couple of brackets. There is a bracket in there somewhere. Come. Bracket to connect that together. And then of course we've got oh, look at that, we get a little gauge too. Very cool. All right, we're going to have to set this up, and I think what we're going to do first with this review is set up the MIG, because I actually do have some welding to do on a couple of the guards for the 57. So we'll set it up and we'll do a little bit of MIG welding to start off. All right, I'll bring you back in a sec. Okay, so what we're going to do first off is just hook up a couple of the componentry we're going to need to start MIG welding. Lucky I actually have a small reel of 0.6 wire, so we can get that installed into the machine. So if you come around over here, you pop this little lever straight down, that'll open the door. And then of course what we have inside is the, and I think these, yeah, they wheel off in reverse thread so that it doesn't obviously unwind itself. So you can take that off. Now, this unit here, I've got a feeling we can't use that roll because it only has a small spindle on it, which is a bit of a bummer. Unless we go knocking that middle piece out. Or can we remove this, I wonder? Does it give us a provision to put a smaller reel on? Let me undo this and let's see what happens. Just interested to see if we can actually modify this. So there's a washer, there's a spring. We're just going to pull the whole component off, and I think we can do it because, yeah, that should be able to just go straight on. Now we need to get our orientation of our wire. It's going to be that way. And I think the only problem with that is it's going to want to free spin. It's not going to lock it. Now, can we tension it up? Let's see. I'd imagine with the spring and with this, we might be able to. Let's double check that to make sure that it's not a, yeah, it's not. Well, we'll give it a go anyway. I mean, this will still tension it up. There we go. So it's putting a little bit of drag on it, and that's what we want. We don't want it to be free spinning. I'll just back that drag off just a tad. There we go, that's better. So that's cool, done. Now next what will happen here, you'll have an adjustment. And this is your adjustment on here. You can see some 5, 4, 3. When you wind this spring out, it puts less tension onto the roller, okay? What we do need to check first is what roller do we have in there? So we don't know. We'll just have to unscrew that. This is all pretty self-explanatory. Undo the knob and take out the roller, and then we can double check it. So it's a 0.8 and a 0.6. So we want the 0.6, so we're going to leave it on 0.6 that way, okay? So that means, oh, hang on, no, it's 0.9, that's 0.9. So we've got 0.9 and 0.8. Let's see if we also get a 0.6. Now here's another one in here. And no, we don't. So we only have a provision here for 0.8 and 0.9. Now they do give you two different rollers. You can see one of them has a serrated edge and one of them is a smooth. I haven't had much luck with the smooths, so we're going to turf that. We're going to go with the serrated, and we're going to be putting the 0.8 in. And I do have a roll of 0.8, so we'll swap it out. I think that was the point. Yeah, that was the 0.6. So we'll just swap it out. We'll go to the 8. I use 8 pretty much all the time on my big welder when I'm doing panel work. I know people think that 0.6 is better. Sorry for the Americans that we're in millimeters, but you know, you guys need to catch up. What we're going to do is we're going to leave the 0.8 in. We're going to wind that back on like so. And I do actually have a 0.8 roll. Let's grab that quickly. Okay, so we've got a roll of 0.8. A brand new one too, which is good. Now these things have a tendency when you undo the cardboard for them to go ba-doing and go flying. So just be wary of that when you're undoing it. Again, check the orientation. We want it to be coming down the bottom and straight in. So it's going to have to go that way, like so. We can put back our washer. And now I'm actually thinking we might, yeah, that's fine. Might as well put both the washers on there for now. And the spring, that's going to give us our tension. Let's just do that up quickly. So that's too tight. That's better. You want it just to have a little bit of drag, not a lot. but you definitely don't want it to be super loose. What that will do is cause burn back. When you are trying to weld, you'll find that or you'll get a bird's nest happening. It'll just keep spooling on itself. So you want a little bit of tension, probably too much still. Back it off a bit more. That's better. Okay, so that's done. What we're going to do now is feed the wire. Got to find the end, and it's going to be, there it is there. Let's grab that with this. Like that. You let go of this and you're going to be, it's going to be a bird nest and a half. Make sure the tip is clean, chopped off nicely, pop it through and then feed it into the hole, like so. Once you get it in, you want it to pop out the end a little bit. We can just leave that for now. We can play around with the tension later on. What we're going to do now is, we'll just shut this up for a second. Turn the unit around. Geez, I like the fact this is super light. My welders are so heavy, they are an absolute bear to move around the shop. We've just got to get this cap off here. Threaded part, but my fingers are a bit weak. There we go. Okay, so what we do now, open the box back up. We just want to thread that wire out a little bit, like so. So it's sticking out, and then we can go and grab the torch. Okay, so we've got the protective sheath or the liner inside the unit. That's what that is. And obviously now we're just going to line it up, make sure the terminals click in, and we can wind it in. Okay, so that's the torch connected. Next we can get the earth strap hooked up. Okay, earth strap is going to connect to the earth strap spot. Let's see where that is. That's for gas, and earth is up the end here. Goes in, give it half a turn, lock it in, make sure it's locked in properly, which it is. So that's the earth strap done in. Next thing we have to do is sort out the gas to the tank. So we're going to be using my very large argon bottle over there. So I'm going to have to just dismantle the plumbing on that so that we can hook this up. But basically what's going to happen is we're going to use the supplied hose. We need to plumb that to the back of the machine. So what I'll do, I'll just turn this around for now. And of course it tells you on the back here, gas, you've got your cutting gas, and well, that will be actually compressed air for the plasma cutter, and this is the MIG gas coming out. So we're going to just use the supplied hose clamps, which are these ones, and let's get that hooked up. Now sometimes when these things are a little bit hard to get on, you can just heat them up a bit. That one went on pretty easy. Okay, we can put our clamp on. That's it. We'll put it on the low position so I can actually tighten it up like that. You do not want leaking gas because it's expensive. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, we need to hook up the other end to the argon, so we'll do that now. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got the gas. I use these little quick connectors. They're just easier to, when I'm swapping from TIG to MIG, and that's it, done. So that's onto my regulator up there, so that's ready to go. Now, one thing with the settings on the earth strap, that's actually in the incorrect position for me to be using the argon gas with the MIG welder. So if you were using a flux core, which I do have some flux core, I've never really played around with it because I've always had argon. That's the gasless. If you don't have a bottle and you have to rent it, and you know that costs me about I think $240 a year to rent that. So, but I go through a lot of gas. Just to give you an idea, that single cab there, for me to build that from the ground up from zero, I have gone through 3 bottles of this. So you use a lot of gas. But anyway, if you're going to use the gasless flux core wire, you need to have the earth strap in the second position, which is there. You can see that there, that's the second position. If you're going to be just doing stock standard MIG with the gas, you have it in the third position, which is this one. Okay, so I'd had that in the first spot, which was incorrect. Anyway, that's done. Gas is hooked up. We can power up the machine for the first time. We have power hooked up at the back here. I'll just find a switch. We might actually just get rid of these boxes because we're starting to run out of room here. Onto the back. Oh, there we go. So we have a fan kicking in, which is a good sign. We have the logo popping up on the front. Let's zoink this off. Beautiful. There we go. Okay, let's have a bit of a look at the menu here. So as you can see here, it's telling us we're in MIG mode. We have a home button. And oh, here we go. So we've got a home button and we've got a selecting wheel if you're going through lift TIG, plasma cutting. We've got settings. That will be arc welding, MIG with the gas bottle, and that's the gasless. So we're going to go with MIG with the gas bottle. I'm going to select that. And at the moment now we have 20.6 volts. We can turn that down. So that'll be controlling the volts, which is, and you know, I have not looked at the manual at all. I'm just going to see if we can just wing this as is. This one is going to do wire speed and automatically changes your voltage. So that's good. I like that. Now it does, at the top here, we are in Imperial. Now, being a surfboard maker for 30 years, I worked with Imperial, so I do know feet and inches, but you know, at the same time we're in Australia and we're doing millimeters, so we are going to change that to millimeters. So I would imagine, and this is just off the top of my head, we go into the home screen. Let's have a look here. There we go. Aha. So that tells us our different thicknesses in terms of gauge, but only in Imperial. So what we need to do is go back. Let's see, can we do this? Here we go. We'll go into settings. Aha! Millimeters. Success. So I like it already because it's actually very intuitive to work this out. So we go back, back home, back to home. We'll go back to MIG and we're back here again. Now it's telling us up the top here, we've got 5 millimeters. We can, let's go to 6, 8, 10, 13. So let's go back, we'll put it on to 1.2. Okay, so it's telling us 1.2, we should be welding at about 17.8, and that is absolutely bang on, because that is, whenever I'm doing panel work, that's exactly where I set it to. So that's pretty damn cool that it actually can just work that out and work it out. So you can still fino it, adjust it if you want to. So sounds cool to me. Let's grab a bit of metal and have a crack at it. Okay guys, so now one thing I did work out what that little doobie whacker was. It's actually a spare little clip here for the door, which is nice that they sent that to us. When you want to fast track the wire feed to get it through to the end of the torch, you basically push this in and hold it, and it will automatically just wire feed so you can get it out through the end of the gun. We've just set up a little bit of metal here. This is just some 1.6 here. We're just going to have a little bit of a test run. And I have fashioned up a lens. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to stick that in front here and just see whether you guys at home can actually watch the bead. I am going to purposely blow a hole through it and then see how well it will stitch the hole back up again. So we'll give that a go. Let's see how she performs. Boom. And that's what I was going for. I just wanted to blow a hole through it and see how easy this is going to be to patch that back up again. So far, this is pretty good. As you can see there, that was really quite effortless to plug that hole up. Now obviously you're not going to be doing that all the time, but I just wanted to give that a bit of a test. Let's try, that was on 14.3 volts. We're going to just turn it back up to 50, we'll do it 16 volts and we'll just see how this goes. Very flat, very controllable welding. I like it. No problems there at all. Okay, so we've got a couple of pieces of, well, there's one that's 5 mil and one that's 6. So we're just going to slam them together and see what happens. Let's have a crack. Okay, so it looks like we have tripped the fuse. Okay, my bad on the fuse. I actually had the power lead plugged into that circuit, that power adapter on the side, and it's got a trip on it. So she's into the wall now, so it won't do that again. But you can see the weld, it's slugged up quite a lot. Again, I was just, you know, blindly pushing the trigger and seeing what it was going to do, but it's definitely added a lot of heat. You can see through the back there. I'm liking it. This thing's pretty cool. I tell you, it's actually the lower settings are a lot more sensitive than this big, I think it's a 275 amp machine I've got, the big MIG, and I think that's definitely more industrial. You can see these welds here in the sheet metal. You can see the penetration coming through the other side. You can see where I blew the hole through it. Very controllable, which I really like. Definitely impressed. We'll just do another weld with this again. This is just some scrap crap I had on the ground. Again, we'll just set up another little piece here and have another go at it. Okay, so we're just playing around with the MIG settings again, and we're just using this piece of steel. It's a thick piece, just to do some passes over, and we're just playing around with the wire speed, like just the voltage, and just seeing what sort of welds we can get straight off the gun. And they're a bit sluggish and sluggy. You can see here how they're quite high up, but you can dial them in and just get them lower. I mean, the settings are just great. Like you can just, you know, dial your voltage down. We'll just do a couple more passes, chuck the camera on so you guys can have a look. Righto, we're going to do, these are probably 5-6 mil. We're just going to weld those two together. Let's see how this ends up. Let me put the lens in front of you guys as well. Let's have a look at that there. Yeah, so that's probably my skill level than the weld. Yeah, I'd say so. So we'll try it again. We'll weld this backside on it this time. I'll just clean that paint off it. That's probably not going to help, so we'll try again. Okay, so better. Really just got to dial in the right setting for it, but yeah, look, it's more than capable of doing some thick stuff, which is, you know, the bottom line on this thing. I like it. It's definitely a little bit user-friendly with the interface than the old school machines, that's for sure. We will put this into some use on some of the VW panels I've got to do, which are these ones over here. These guards here need to be welded up. There's a couple of cracks and bits and pieces on them, so we'll put that into some use soon. But what I'm really interested in is swapping this over to the plasma cutter. So we are going to shut it down and set up the plasma cutter, and I'll bring you guys back in. So we are going to have a crack at the plasma cutter. So in the instructions it says we need to change the earth lead to the first port, which is that one right there, and we just lock that off. So that's going to be our earth to the part. Now we also need to hook up the air to the back of it. Now obviously my shop compressor is rather large, twin motor, and that's running 620 litres a minute, so it's a big unit. I have a water trap. I have a water trap actually coming out of it up above that box there, and then the lead runs right along the top of the roof, runs to another DeVilvis water trap here, this one here, which I try to empty that one out reasonably often, and obviously then it comes up into the reel and it's going to go straight back into the back here. Now obviously we do have the water trap here as well, so we will always be getting dry air. So let's just connect this to here. I've just put a quick connect fitting here. It's just going to be a lot easier. It's supposed to be 50. Let's have a look here on the instructions. I think it says it's 50 for the PSI. We are looking at 58 to 65 PSI for the plasma cutter. So we'll set that up and come back in. Righto, so we've got the air sorted out. Let's get the torch connected. And that's pretty self-explanatory. You've got the two little ports underneath here. This one only can go in one way, which is good. It's got to find its little location, and it is that way. We'll bring up our display. We've got to change it over obviously to plasma cut. There we go. Select. Now obviously we're going to be cutting, you've got your settings up the top here, so we can, we're going to do 40 amps, we're going to drop it right down as low as it goes, which is 20 amps, because we're just going to be doing this thin sheet steel to start off with. So we'll just do that, give that a quick go. So we'll just try cutting a little section off here. Okay, so it did cut through. Interesting. It might mean we've got dirty material I'm going to turn up the amps a little bit here. There we go. So yeah, basically I needed to put up the airflow to a couple of seconds to start beforehand, so we can try that again. Probably good. I mean, I'm just doing it freehand, but you can see that cut it pretty good. Let's do another one. Bloody beautiful. So yeah, not a bad cut at all, and fairly clean on the backside. So let's just move to something a bit thicker now. Righto, so this one is about 2.5 mil. So we'll just turn the amps up a little bit more. Oh, did that go? Oh, it did go through. Okay, that's pretty cool. Try a little bit thicker stuff. Righto, we'll try this one here. Just cut a little corner off it. Woo. Yeah. Wow, that's got some power. That just went through it. And I'm not wearing the appropriate shoes, but yeah, man, that's got some serious grunt. We'll turn that down. Turn it down to 29, see what happens here. Hang it off. Yeah. Bloody beautiful. So that was a lot thicker stuff. I'm not going to go for... There you go. So yeah, that's probably about as thick as what I would ever be using it for anyway. And you can see it, you know, the back edge is pretty clean. I'm not cutting very well because I'm not initiating it properly. So, and obviously you want to have a ruler and, you know, a guide to go across it, but that's pretty damn good. That's got a lot of power, and I think on 40 amps you'd be going through some really thick stuff. So yeah, no, very, very cool indeed. All right, we'll move on to the next bit. Righto guys, so the next test we're going to do is the arc welder, and you can see here I've got a couple of fairly chunky pieces of metal. These would be, oh gee, probably close to 6 or 7 mil thick. So we're just going to butt those up together here, and we'll turn on the machine and put it onto arc. We have the appropriate ports for the actual torch and the earth unit, so they're in their respective spots where they're supposed to be. So what we've got to do here is on the menu, just again go to home and turn the dial over to arc, which is that one there, and we can go back, and then we can set our what is it, parameters up the top here, memory 3.2, we'll try 4 mil. Now so you guys can watch as well. I'm actually going to I'm going to try to hold my camera. This is just a lens that I've put over the top of my mobile phone, and I'll record it and see if I can actually get a nice little arc for you, a little puddle going on. Let's see if this works. Okay, so we're ready to rock and roll. We have our leads in the right orientation. We've got our earth lead onto the negative, and we've got our torch lead on the second port, which is the positive, I'd imagine. So yeah, let's just set this up and we'll see how we go. Try and get the mobile phone in on the action so you guys can see what's happening. That arc was really smooth. Get the slag off it. So that at that setting there, we were on the 4 mil 136 amps, and you can see nice. I mean, I was holding the camera with that with one arm, so really good. Like the arc's really smooth, which I like. I tell you, that's a win as well. What we might do just for the rest of this weld, just crank it as high as it goes, and let's see what sort of penetration we get out of that last section. It's welded, it's actually melted right down through the join there, so it's more than capable of doing some pretty thick metal, which is good. I mean, I don't really use arc much anymore. I think, you know, MIG's kind of taken that over, but for the right applications, I think this is fantastic. Yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, the rods that I was using, they're just dumped out ones here that are, you know, they've got moisture in them. They're not fantastic. They are the 6013s, and they're old, you know, they've just been dumped down there. So just for one old rod to do that sort of a weld is pretty damn good. Got to be happy with that. I'm not going to bother with the flux welding on the MIG, only because I don't really use it. I know a lot of guys do like that if you haven't got a gas bottle. It's not really relevant for me here. I think the main things that we're going to be playing with this unit for me is definitely going to be the plasma, because I'm sick and tired of using a 4-inch or 5-inch grinder to cut through, you know, thick metal. So the plasma cutting gun, I'm going to get a little bit more practice with it, because, you know, obviously it was the first time I've ever done it, so I know you're supposed to have a rod and actually line it up and do a nice clean cut, but we'll play around with that when I'm ready to go with it. And the MIG on the sheet metal stuff, because this machine weighs nothing and I don't have to be carting this monstrosity around. That unit down there weighs an absolute ton, and it's just too much to move around the shop. So for this little unit, it's fantastic. I'll be able to do, and I could tell straight away as soon as I started welding those first little pieces, it's got a really nice, fine, controlled little arc on it, which is, I think it's definitely going to be a winner, and I'm definitely going to be using it in here quite a bit. So definitely got a shout out to the guys at Yes Welder for sending this over. Now, for people here in Australia to buy it, I'll put some info in the description below. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode on the Yes Welder, and I think that's definitely, you can see the technology's gone up from 10 years ago, from those machines which were oldish, you know. I mean, the TIG, it won't replace that TIG unit because I can do aluminium with that. It's an AC/DC unit, and this obviously isn't. But like I said, for the plasma and the MIG and even the arc, it's definitely a winner, and I'll be using it here for sure. All right, guys, we'll see you on another episode on DMOC Garage. Take it easy. You.